Hi, and welcome to Dramatic Knits. My name is Steve, also known as Dramatic Knits.
And my name is Amanda, also known as Dramatic Mandy.
And today is Monday, April 1st, 2019. And no, this is not the April Fool's episode. Well, I mean, it kind of is, but there's no joke here. Except that bad one right there. Alright, so, if you're a returning viewer, thanks for joining me one more time. Joining us, I should say. You know I'm a bit cheesy, and we're recording at night, and we get a bit punchy at night, if past episodes are any indication. If you are new to the episode, hopefully you haven't turned me off by now.
New to the episode? They're all new to the episode.
Well, new to the podcast. Oy. So we went out to a subpar Mexican dinner tonight. Subpar for me. She just didn't even enjoy it. But we were trying the other Mexican restaurant in our town. We have 2.5, really. One's pretty good, but the other one is, we've tried and we said, oh, Amanda, come out to dinner. She didn't like it. But we did both have a margarita, which did nothing to us other than make us,
Made my headache into a migraine.
Yeah, so she may be a little this episode, but we'll bear with it. So,
and turned me into a tomato.
Yes. Before we recorded, she said it turned her into a leaping tomato. But, I cut that out for those of you with delicate sensibilities. So let's get right into what's been going on in our lives the last 2 weeks, if you care to know. I have been everywhere. I've been from last time we recorded, we were getting back from Iowa, maybe, and then we went to, where did we go? No, we went to Pittsburgh. Did we record after Pittsburgh? I think we recorded after Pittsburgh. We just had gotten back.
Yeah, it was Monday.
Yeah, so we just gotten back from Pittsburgh. I had last weekend off, but really we only had like a week home because on Tuesday we left for Loveland, Colorado, which is an hour or so from Denver. Took us 14 plus hours to get there. We drove 12, plus stops and stuff on Tuesday, and then we drove the last 2 hours on Wednesday morning, and then we set up. We got there bright and early at 9 o'clock. We were at the event, and we set up from about 9 a.m. to 5:30. We did have a pretty good barbecue buffet at a restaurant right outside the hotel with a couple of the vendors, so it was nice to catch up with them and chit-chat. But took our time setting up, and then the market was Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, and everyone we talked to said Thursday and Friday was going to be slow, but Saturday was really good and worth the trip. And it was busy all 3 days. In fact, Saturday was probably the least busy day, but it was pretty good. It was a great event for us. We've already marked next year's dates on the calendar, but they are moved back almost a whole month next year, so we'll see how that lines up with our other shows. But to all of you who came out and said you watched the podcast, thank you very much. We both appreciate that. I know I always seem awkward when people say that, but all I can say is thank you, and we love that you tune into us each and every episode. And if you can't see everyone, hopefully, you check in with us every once in a while. We also appreciate that as well. So yeah, we had a great event, and then we hit the road, cleaned up. We were out of the event center by like 8:15 because the market went till 6, which is really late for a closing day, and so we still drove another 2 hours back and stayed at the same hotel we stayed at before the event, and then drove 12 hours yesterday. We were home. We rolled in around just before 9 o'clock. We picked up the dogs from their amazing auntie dog sitter.
Makes me so sad.
But yeah, so, and then all of us were here at the studio super early this morning to get some work done. So we enjoyed dinner together.
All of us?
Well, okay, so I was the last one to roll into the studio. That being said, I was. It wasn't that much later than everybody.
I have to burst your bubble.
So anyway, we decided to have dinner together and then come back to the studio to record. And I'm sure anybody who can look in the windows, because we have the studio lights on, because it is, what, 7:30, 8 o'clock. It is dark outside, and anybody can see in here clear as day. Anyway, so that's pretty much been my 2 weeks. Nothing too fantastic. I do want to show you my new shirt. I unboxed this when I got home this evening and wore it out. It says Squad. And you want to know who my squad is? That's right. It's the Golden Girls. Because I rock this shirt in our small town and I don't care. Rest in peace, everybody except Betty White. All right, we had our moment of silence. All right, let's move on to what's been going on in your world. Because you've been getting out, doing things.
On the weekends. Whew. I can feel my heartbeat in my head. Last week I was here, and then on the weekend, it was really exciting. So my best friend Miranda, thank you Lord, she is close to me now again, because we grew up together, and she just moved recently to a town that's like 30 minutes from us, and I love it. One, because I have no friends, especially around here, but
Preach.
she's my ride or die, so it's really nice to have her. But I finally got to take her out on the town in Bloomington, where I went to school at Illinois State University, because back in high school our plan was to go to school together, and that didn't happen. So it was really nice, because she went to Eastern, and I've gone out there with her, and I always tell her, I'm like, you have not lived, you have not gone out yet until you go to Bloomington. And it was actually her and her boyfriend's 3-year anniversary that weekend too, so we ended up going out, and we all had a really great time. It was awesome. Then came home. I think I had a lazy Sunday that Sunday too. Yeah. And then this week I worked here and watched the dogs, which is awesome.
She actually prefers when we're out of the studio.
Yeah, they do. But then this weekend on Saturday, Miranda and I got together again. It's so awesome. And we, oh, I forgot to grab it. It's over there. I'm going to have to grab it real quick. But we, painted on our paint by numbers a little bit and just hung out and ate way too much pineapple. So there's a viral video going around of people like just being able to pull pineapple apart. So I got us a pineapple to try it because she loves pineapples. It didn't work out too well for us, but I still ate way too much of it, and I got like sores on my lips. It was pretty bad. But then
between the both of us, so she had the pineapple issue, and then I was at dinner tonight. And I was eating a tortilla chip with salsa, chips and salsa, waiting on your dinner. And one of the chips got stuck in my tooth, and then my lip went down, and it impaled my top lip to the point that I was like, because I had to pick my lip up off the chip. That was okay. It would just, I just got to leave it alone. But I impaled my top lip, so
yeah, and
we're a hot
then,
mess express over here.
Yeah. That's about it. Yesterday was another lazy Sunday. We hung out, me and the dogs hung out on the couch with Grandma and watched some shows and stuff, which I'll say a little something about later. But yeah, so that's it. And now we're here.
Yep, and we're going to record, and then I'm going to go back and do some editing and hopefully get this started to get up tonight. And she's going to go lay down to get rid of her migraine. And when you do get up to get your stuff, don't remind me we didn't grab the new colorway on the swatch if we have it readily available. So, but
Swatch is in the swatch book.
Okay, well we can grab at least a skein of the new colorway. But we kind of trap ourselves in this corner with the table and the lights, and it's a little bit of a what do you call it? Obstacle course to get out of here. So, anyway, let's get to the knitting, shall we? All right, so. I do have a finished object. I worked yesterday in the car. Before I let myself work on my colorwork sweater, I was like, you know what? You got to get something off the needles. So I had worked on this all day on Saturday at the market. And then I worked on it for, driving home. And then I still worked on it for like an hour yesterday morning. I was like, I did not think I had that much left to go on it. But I finished my Devil's Lettuce Grows in the Darkest Hour boomerang. Now there's a mouthful for you. So anyway, I used a skein of Leading Men Fiber Arts
Wow.
Darkest Hour in the Showstopper base, so a merino nylon. And then I held together with that some Stitch Together Studio Stitch Cloud, which is her mohair silk lace weight in the Devil's Lettuce colorway, which Mandy informed me is a nickname for Mary Jane, marijuana. Now, whether that's what they intended, I don't know. And I will never look at this boomerang the same again. So thank you. But yeah, so I had a lot of fun knitting on this. There are quite a few drop stitches where I dropped one of the yarns. But it is what it is, and it's going to be used mostly as a class sample for my boomerang classes, and it may be given away or donated, but sorry. So here it is. So you can see those two very different colors when held together give this really cool effect to the yarn, and it's got, you know, it's got that, you can see there, the halo, and the silk definitely gives this electric green, acid green, that kind of sheen to it. And yeah, it's definitely a heavier boomerang than the ones that I do single ply. I still used a size 6 rather than going up a needle size, so it's a little cushier, but I'm happy with it. So I will probably block it just to say I did, and then eventually I'll get some modeled photos of it. But I do love a good boomerang, and it is really soft.
Yeah.
I actually kind of like it. I didn't think I'd like it around my neck, but you know, again, just around the back of my neck, it's really nice. So yeah, I finished that up, and you know, as you can see, and I didn't weigh. I left enough to maybe do a granny square, but I doubt it. I just kind of kept going until I felt like I had enough.
You're gonna do a granny square out of mohair?
Well, holding the two together as like a
Yeah,
project.
It'll still be.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be cool though.
Like, that's part of it, is to meet new dyers. I use new yarns from new people that I meet, but also, you know, to kind of reenact the projects that the scraps come from. So there's that. That's what I worked on and finished this episode, or these past 2 weeks. So as much as I'd love to leave this on, I think we need to appreciate the squad a little more. Not that you can really see them. They're peeking out. Hello.
I got my squad right here, the man in black, you know? Just saying.
So that's what I finished. What about you?
Nothing. You know, I worked on stuff, but...
All right. Well...
Geez, I'm sorry I didn't finish anything.
Oh, fine.
It's because I have too much.
All right, well, I'm going to keep going then. So, what's performing this episode? The first for me is my Adventurer wrap by Amber O'Brien. This was her advent calendar knit-along last winter, and I'm still working on it, but I counted, and I have 5 more colors to go. So, out of 25, I am 80% done, and I feel like I have another color for you.
I was about to say, I think you have like 20 more colors to go. Not literally. Yay! Just another one.
So, let's go this way and show you from the beginning again. It's always just fun to see. So, we started over here. And so, yes, this was our 2018 Not an Advent mini skein collection. And we will do, I think we're going to do one every year, but this one will come out as a kit for this wrap once I get it finished. There will be a limited number of them that we will do, but yeah. So I'm over here and I'm adding on the saffron orange I just started over here. So yeah, it's going, and that's knit on a size 5 US, which is a 3.75 millimeter needle. And then I did work some on the Socks on a Plane by Laura Linneman, and I am modifying them and just putting the cable panel down the leg of the sock, which is in my bag over there, and I forgot to grab. So just pretend I finished the heel flap and decrease the gusset. You've seen it for quite a while, and I'm hoping to have it done by next episode. So fingers crossed, because I really wanted to have them done for this one, and it just didn't happen. But. All right, my Make Your Own Luck by Lisa Ross. So I pulled this out of my bag just so you can get an idea of what the original pattern looked like. So you can see that with the primary rainbows in there alternating with gray. Mine's a little more moody. I picked this up as a kit-ish from Black Cat Fibers, based out of Milwaukee, those lovely ladies of Black Cat. And they had knit this up as a sample at Stitches SoCal last fall, and I was like, I need to knit that. So I'm using, oh, surprise, Leading Man Fiber Arts Showstopper in the Darkest Hour again. And then I paired it with their Nomad Sock Melancholia gradient. And I have like 4 more colors left to go on this. But I am striping in, I think, a new color. So here's where this one started. It started at the point over here. And then goes through here. And then you can see down here, there's the point where it starts to go back up. And we had the bright green, then we had the teal, and now we're in like the turquoise blue here, striping that in. So I'm going to love this. I don't know who it's going to go to when it's done, but I am going to love having that done and love taking pictures of that when it is finished. So that's being knit on a size 5 US 3.75 millimeter needle as well. All right, the piece de resistance is my For Fox's Sake by Maxim Cyr, and this is a colorwork sweater, colorwork yoked sweater with 3-color colorwork. Man, I tell you. So everyone's like, oh, it's okay to do 3-color colorwork. Caitlin Hunter does it in all of her patterns for like a row or 2. I think there's like 4 rows in the Nilchik poncho, which was popular by her. Yeah, no, pretty much every row of this is 3 colors. And like I said last time, I just gave up trying to catch my floats because it was giving me more trouble than not. So I'm just holding my floats very loosely. And I'm 3 rows from the end of the chart before I think I split off her sleeves and all that jazz. So I've put a lot of work on this, and let's see if I can not get it off the needles, but spread it out so you can see the entire, yeah, look at my hot mess of floats in there. It is what it is. It's color work. But can you see the foxes?
They're so cute.
Foxes in glasses? There they are.
Okay, I truly love the color choice now. Seeing it.
And it's going to be, the main body is going to be gray, so it's not going to look very Christmassy.
Yeah.
I think I picked the good rust and green colors. It's not going to be Christmassy. So it's a DK weight sweater, knit from the top down, and I'm using Leading Men Fiber Arts Dramaturg in the London Fog, which is our gray, and then the red is Rusted, the green is the Grouch, and then I actually used Box Office, which is worsted, for Heirloom, which is the fox's face. But I would have used DK, but I was too impatient, and we had Heirloom on. Worsted already dyed up. So here's my sweater thus far.
I'm sorry.
It's going to be warm up. That's just the nature of colorwork, though.
Oh,
But again,
no.
because it's triple stranded, it's not double thick. It's triple thick. Look how cute my foxes are, though.
They're super cute.
The foxes are officially done. So, done and done, son.
Do you think once you're done with those 3 rows, you can like get
Then it's just plain knitting, because then, and it'll go faster because I'll put some of the sleeves on holders. You split for the sleeves, and then it's not as many stitches going around in the body. So, and then it's just mindless knitting after that. So, but this has been my, like, on the road while I'm not driving. I've been working on this, so.
Wait, you drove?
He did drive this trip. He was like, I am not having it. He did drive the both 2 hour stretches. He drove. No, did he? I might have drove in. Well, drove in, but then he drove out because it was dark. And I was like, if you want to drive in the dark, you're driving or leave in the dark. So super excited about that. That's being knit on a size 7 US, which is a 4.5 millimeter needle. I think it calls for a 6 and a 4, and I went up because 1, color work tends to be tighter, but 2, the size pattern that I'm knitting is like negative ease on me by half an inch at least or so, and so I wanted to go up a needle size in the hopes to give myself slightly bigger without having to go all the way up another size, because then it would have been too big. And that's because it's hard to pare down color work, so I'm sure he pared down by like taking 1 or 2 foxes out, which when you consider they're like 4 to 5 inches wide, it's hard to give smaller, size increments because you're having to omit a full color work block repeat. All right, that's it for me. That's what I've been working on since we've last spoke. Over to you.
I've actually touched my adventure scarf, which you just saw. It takes all of the excitement out of mine because you see it. But that's cool.
Everyone's still loving seeing it.
Last time I was somewhere in the green. Now I'm in the brown. So.
And you can see hers is significantly thinner.
Yeah.
And this is being used with what I have left over from the 20 gram mini. So there's enough to do the wrap, the scarf, and a granny square.
Yeah.
So, well, I haven't actually done a granny square from the scraps yet, but I'm assuming there's enough.
Probably. There's still a decent amount. And then I am working on my favorite vanilla socks by Megan Schmaltz, and I'm using the Knitted Wit Victory sock in Witch's Brew, and this is my second sock, and I've gotten more done. Actually, I got a little too excited because I was doing the ribbing. I think I was watching TV or something, and I was like, I should probably count these rows, because the last one I had 15 for the for the rib section, and then I counted them and I realized I was like halfway through the 17th row, and I was like, uh-oh. So I took that one out. So there's 16, but whatever. It'll work.
It'll be
do.
fine. And that's her second sock of her first pair ever.
Yeah. See, this is the other one. I showed Miranda, and I don't think she cared, but I was proud because this is.
I was gonna say, did you blow her mind? You need to get her knitting.
No, I don't pressure people into doing those sort of things. We have our own craft. We're painting.
Oh, sorry.
And then I am working on this scarf that is called the 80/20 by Alexis Adrian, and it's just a whatchamacallit, seed stitch scarf. It doesn't look as cool on camera as it does in person.
Love that teal though.
Yes. And I don't think Miranda would watch this. I had these colors in mind I think I'm going to end up giving it to Miranda because these are totally her colors, but this is the Lion Brand Heartland, and I have no idea how you say that.
Cahoga
Valley?
Yeah.
Sure. So that's the teal, and then once you basically go through 80% of that, you're supposed to add in your 20% of your other color, which I'm going to use this Heartland Tweed and Mount Rainier Tweed, which is like a silvery gray with like cute little speckles. And so that's on a size 10.5 US, 6.5 millimeter. And it's going. I love the texture, the way it feels. And yeah, that's all I'm doing. Back to you.
All right, so what's in rehearsal? Last episode, I talked about a new design, which I am awaiting some needles that I bought. So hopefully those will be coming in the mail soon. And once I get those, I will cast on for my design idea that I have for a wrap that uses a gradient and has lace and beads and all that jazz. So, bye, Andy. So Andy's been rinsing yarn after dinner, and he's going home now. But
Oh, am I taking you home?
you are taking me home. He was like, "Do you have keys? How are you gonna lock the studio?" And I was like, "I'm not walking home. I mean, I could. It'd take me 5 minutes, but I'm lazy. It's a little chilly." All right. Anything in rehearsal for you?
No, I decided this episode I was going to be realistic and not say anything.
So let's talk about behind the scenes. So before we left for Colorado, I was proud of myself, and I finished spinning the first 2 ounces of some Three Waters Farm Fin Top in the Satisfied with Summer colorway, and it just looks like a chartreuse green here. And I'm using my Acreworks bobbin. I'm spinning on my Hanson e-spinner. But here's the other 2 ounces, which I will break down into 3 pieces for a fractal 3-ply, or 2-ply, I'm sorry. So it's got the greens like you've seen, but then there's this pop of color at the end. So I will be starting on, the second 2 ounces now that I'm home for a couple of days before we hit the road again. So there's that. So moving into In the Scene Shop, what's going on in the other world of crafting? Big news, y'all. Big news. So I posted on Instagram the night before we left. I finished backstitching everything, cross-stitching, half-stitching, whatever stitching. This cross-stitch that you have seen for the last year to 2 years. I couldn't even tell you. I could check show notes to see the first time it popped up, but it's been forever and a day. So I finished. Yes, finished. Not fully finished. There's FFO. This is just an FO. But I finished my Dimensions in the Moment kit. And now I need to actually iron it and then see if I can find a frame for it. I don't know if I'll actually get it professionally framed. But here it is. So it says live life in the moment, which, cross stitch always looks better far away. So I'm super happy with it. And while it's not a whole lot of cross stitching, it's a pretty decent sized piece. I mean, it's the size of my torso. So it is a decent size.
Make it into a shirt.
Yeah, just do that. This is going up on the wall.
Okay, don't yell.
So I did stitch this on 28 count even weave rather than the 14 count Aida that came with the kit, and I forgot to bring what I'm going to start stitching on next, but it is my first Heaven and Earth design, which is a full coverage. I bought it as a kit from their website. They have so many amazing cross-stitch kits and patterns and everything, but so much of it is fantasy or just not up my style, but there are quite a few I've put in my wish list there. But I did buy a kit for, it's not a raven, I would say, but it's some sort of blackbird, and it's almost like a marbly background. It's really cool, but I'll start on that here coming soon. So there's that, and then I'm also working on weaving a lace weight scarf again. I'm using Leading Men Fiber Arts Ghostlight, which is no longer being produced, but there is still some in the shop, and you might want to keep your eye out for that. It may be coming to YarnCon this weekend, but there may be some discounts and sales happening soon. But I'm using Mana Mystery as the warp and Imperfection as the weft. I did have a couple of setbacks in the beginning where I had warped a thread and I had to cut it and figure out how to attach. Whatever. It's not perfect. I'm still learning, so there's that. But again, I do love the texture of a lace weight woven scarf. It's just like butter. All right, what are you working on in your other crafting world?
It's over there. I painted some, like I said. But it's over there.
Is that it?
Yeah.
Did you cross stitch it all?
Nope. I haven't gotten there yet because
Does your cow at least have 2 full nostrils?
I think.
Okay, because it needs to breathe.
I love him, but there's just so... It's overwhelming sometimes.
Not all of us can be as obsessed with crafting as I am.
No.
All right, in the spotlight, what are we watching and reading? So we finished watching season 5 of Grace and Frankie and enjoyed it. I didn't so much enjoy the ending of the season. Like, you thought it was going to end, and then there was this weird episode right at the end, and then it kind of was like, eh? But they are coming out with season 6 next year. They did have that. And then Andy and I started a new podcast on the way home yesterday, and we listened to 3 episodes. They're about half-hour episodes. If you have children in the room, you might want to send them out or put this on pause and come back when they're not in the room. This is definitely not a kids-friendly podcast, but it was actually recommended to us by Leslie and Laura of the Knit Girls. She recommended it to Amanda and I at SSK last year, and I told Andy about it, and we gave it a shot, and we actually think it's kind of funny. So it's called My Dad Wrote a Porno, and it's rather hysterical. Amanda gave it a shot. It was not her cup of tea, she said, but
I just didn't find it very funny.
We were chuckling in the car out loud several times. So basically, it's this gentleman whose dad, wrote some erotic fiction and self-published it, and so he got his hands on it. He got a draft of it, and he decided to bring his 2 friends in. I believe one of them is gay and the other one's a woman, and they every week read a chapter from this porno called Belinda Blinks is the name of it. And so as they're reading, they stop to comment every so often. Well, a lot more than every so often. But their interaction between those 3 as friends is really, really funny and hysterical. So I definitely say give it a shot. Give it a couple episodes. See if you like it. I think they're on season 2 now or whatnot. And his dad's writing more of these. So, but it's just funny because like the last episode we were listening to, the dad gave the wrong name to the lady that he's been referring to the last 2 chapters, and it went from Bella to Donna, and he just, because it's self-published and it wasn't formally edited, and I don't know, it's really funny because his dad is 60, and yeah, just the adjectives he uses for the human body is kind of funny and hysterical. So I'd say give it a shot. My Dad Wrote a Porno is available wherever you find your podcasts. I don't know where Andy found it, but he was the one playing it on his phone yesterday. So
iTunes, probably.
yeah, I think he uses like the podcast app or whatever on the phone. What have you been perusing on?
Not that. I just didn't. It's hard to make me laugh and like stay entertained. It was kind of boring to me. But I have been on my lazy Sundays watching some movies and stuff with Grandma. That's what I'm gonna call her now. But I was really looking forward to this movie called Triple Frontier that is out now on Netflix, but for a very long time because I thoroughly enjoy all of the actors in it, and I saw things like a year ago from when they were filming it in Hawaii, and I was dying for it to come out. It finally did. And so they've got Ben Affleck, Charlie Hunnam, Oscar Isaac, Pedro Pascal, Garrett Hedlund. They're the 5 main people in there. Love all of them, truly. Especially Ben Affleck. Sorry, I love him. But...
Oh, Ben.
Okay, not like that. I love him as an actor. Anyway.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, whatever. But it is essentially about... They are these, like, special ops guys who are kind of retired, but, like, high special ops where they did some crazy stuff. And they end up going back in for one more that they're doing on their own. And, you know, there's some greed in there. They're basically robbing like a drug lord or whatnot. And all of this stuff happens, you know, it can't go right, you know. But this movie definitely took me through every emotion you can possibly have. But it was pretty great. I definitely recommend it. Have a tissue. Sometimes you'll cry because you're laughing. Other times you'll just cry. But it's really, really good. Then Mom and I watched The Highwaymen yesterday. It's got Kevin Costner and Woody Harrelson in it, and it's about the two Texas Rangers who got together to take down Bonnie and Clyde, and pretty great. My mom was sitting there like, wait, this isn't how it happened. I was like, yeah, it actually was, because I know a little bit about it. And then she was like getting super into it. She's like, wait, this is really how it happened? And then like so it kept happening, and then at the end it always gives those like little details and then like real life pictures, and she's like, oh, it really did happen like this. But it was a really good movie. Kevin Costner is great. Woody Harrelson's really great, because I really enjoy him in comedies, but lately I've seen him in a lot of like more dramatic roles and whatnot, and he's really good at it. So recommend. That's also on Netflix. At least that's where we saw it. I don't know if they have it anywhere else. And then we sat down yesterday to watch the second season of The OA, which is also on Netflix. We watched the first season together, and I was dying and I wanted to watch it, and I almost did without her, but then I was like, we watched the first together, we can watch the second together, right? So this show is kind of hard to explain, but it hits you in all the feels. So in the first season, there is a girl who shows up after like being missing and like thought dead for a very long time, and she had this like near death experience where she died and then came back to life, but she came back to life blind, and then when she came back she was no longer blind, and it goes down this whole rabbit hole, and I don't want to give anything away, so it's really hard to like talk about it, but you should give it a try because it's pretty great. I don't really know how else to say that, but the only thing I will say is we get through, I don't know how many episodes, like 6 yesterday. We were binge watching it, and I needed to go to bed, and she's like, well, I'm gonna keep watching it. She's one of those people that if you start watching a show with them, they go off and watch it on their own. She did that to me with Sons of Anarchy years ago, and then ended up telling me the ending in Walmart, and I shed a tear in Walmart because I was very invested in that show. I mean, it had like 7 seasons, but yeah, so it's all 3 of those things are better than My Dad Wrote a Porno, so there you go.
Stash enhancement.
I have nothing, so you go ahead.
I bought some minis while at the Interweave Yarn Fest, and while Andy doesn't agree with me, I don't feel like minis are stash because they're going into my scrap blanket, which is again a memory blanket of past projects, meeting new colleagues and dyers and things like that. So I walked around, and not as many people are selling minis as much. So I did find 2 dyers that had some that I picked up. The first is Knit Stitch, who she's available on Etsy, and these are the same as our Showstopper minis. They're 92 yards, 20 grams, and this one is in the colorway Violet. She had a lot of semi-solids, which we usually keep on hand too. They're great for pops and things, so I tried to pick up ones that had depths of color. So this is like a pinky purple, and then this one is called Red Rocks, which has some tonality to it as well. So I picked those up from Knit Stitch. You can find her at knitstitch.etsy.com. And then there was a company across from us called Sweater Sisters, and I'm not quite sure how they set up their company, if it's like a group of designers. Like there's like 6 women, I think, that design under this name. I'm not sure. But one of them is dyeing yarn, and she had yarn for sale as well. And we got to talk to her a couple of times throughout the weekend. This was her second show ever. Her first one was Vogue Knitting Live in New York, which is like crazy to think that she started out there, but flying her stuff out from, I can't remember where she said she's from. Oh, by Colorado. So, but it was crazy. So she had a couple different bases of yarn. Her yarn company is Wayfaring Yarns, and hand dyed in Teton Valley, Wyoming. So she's not from Colorado. She's from Wyoming. And this first one is, this is not the right base, because this does not have Lurex. But this is a single ply, I'm guessing just 100% merino, in the colorway Jacobean glazed.
Maybe.
Jacobean. Oy. Anyway, it's reds, purples. This one has the Lurex in it. This one's sparkly. This is her Bimini base. Bimini. Anyway, this one is Savannah glazed, but it's greens and browns. So this one came undone, so I just kind of looped-de-looped it.
Oh, I was wondering why it looked different.
Yeah, I was just like, so it doesn't fall apart. But so I got some minis to add to my blanket. And then as Andy does, he likes to surprise me with yarn. And I had mentioned at Stitches West that I had seen this dyer. We'd seen him at several of the stitches. And I was like, I haven't tried their yarn. Da-da-da-da-da. And, you know, I say that just especially with the dyers that are a little bit pricey. But anyway, we got home and he surprised me with a skein of yarn before we left for Colorado. And this is from Fierce Fibers, and she does a lot of wonderful gradients in several different size cakes. So he picked up this 50% superwash merino, 50% silk. It's 150 grams, 645 yards of her Abyss base in the colorway Cavalier. So it's a bit pricey, but it is merino silk, and I took a while and finally found a project that I could link up in my stash. I don't remember what it was because it was before we went to Colorado, but I did find a project to knit with that. Excuse me, it's almost my bedtime. She laughs, but she knows it's the truth. All right, this week we have a giveaway. So this week we are giving away a copy of The Knitter's Companion by Vicky Square. And it is a really cool spiral bound reference book that, especially if you're a newer knitter or if you have a craft room and you like to reference things, it's got a DVD in the front for reference as well. So that's really awesome. But then it's spiral bound and it'll give you certain things like in preparation, everything from supplies and notions to yarn structure to everything you kind of want to know regarding how to knit and what to knit. Oh, and there's two DVDs. There's one in the back too. And then it goes over the basics everywhere from continental and English knitting, slip stitches, yarn over gauge, measuring, reading patterns and charts. And then it goes over cast-ons, joining yarns, increases, decreases, bind-offs, blocking, seaming, hems and hemming, border and edging, details, everything from beads to buttonholes to French knots to fringe to pom-poms and tassels, and then other techniques. And last but not least, there is a knitting needle gauge in the back. So I think this is really awesome. It's got more than 250,000 copies sold, and it includes a DVD with 80 plus demos and techniques. So this was generously donated to the podcast by our fairy yarn mother. Thank you very much. And we are going to give away a copy of this next episode. In order to be eligible to win this copy, you need to go over to the Dramatic Knits video podcast group on Ravelry. And there is a thread already up, and you just need to answer this week's prompt, which is, are you a morning or a night person? I would say I'm definitely not a night person. I'm more of a morning person. She is not, though, I don't think. Are you?
Nope.
Yeah, she definitely kind of blossoms in the evening. She's a night flower.
Except today because of this headache. But yeah, I think I wake up around like 4 or 5. Like wake up, if that makes sense.
Oh, in the yeah, she like comes to at 4 or 5 in the afternoon.
I've always been that way though, because I remember, I think it might have been choir no, it was definitely in middle school, 6th grade, and my I had choir in the morning and then jazz choir at night, like after school, and she's like, you are 2 completely different people, and I'm like, yep, that's me. So
all right, so go on over, enter for that. Let us know if you're a morning or night person, and we will draw for that next time we record in 2 weeks. Inside the Knitters Studios. So we do have a question and answer thread on our Ravelry group. Feel free to go on over there and post a question to us, and we will get to answering it eventually. This week's question is, can you tell us a funny sibling story? So I did inform Amanda about this at dinner so that she could prep a response, and she's like, I got nothing. I said, oh, really? Because I have mine that pops to mind immediately once I was typing the question. I knew what I wanted to tell you about. So, do you have a funny story about me?
nope.
You had the one.
Well, it's not very funny. I was very young and having a sleepover, and I don't know where he was, but he wasn't
I think
home
it was at
yet.
work.
Sure. And I was having a sleepover with my friend Miranda. Not that Miranda. This was,
Like elementary school, a different friend.
I was probably like 7 maybe.
Yeah, because it was right before we moved.
Yeah, so I remember having all my stuffed animals in the living room. We were sleeping in it. And I got this funny idea. I think Mom might have actually said it. But I had this
Probably,
like
I wouldn't put it past her.
I had this fake snake, but it wasn't like a rubber snake. It was like, it had a different material on it. It had like beads in it.
Oh, was I? I was going to say, if it must have
Yeah.
been beans or like those foam
Yeah.
beads. Because I thought it was rubber, but if it wasn't, then I can...
Yeah, so I'm pretty sure Mom had this idea, but I go and put the snake in his bed, and then we go in our sleeping bags and pretend to be asleep. And he comes in, and he goes into his bed, and we hear him scream. I'm sorry, it's funny. So yeah, there's that. I don't know what else is funny.
That's good. That's one story. We don't need to share everything.
I thought you were gonna say something.
Oh, I am gonna save her story, but I was gonna. So yeah, I did. You know, as anyone would if there was a snake in their bed. I got a snake in my boot. So my story comes from this one when she was a wee one, and we would when we would go on vacation. Our mom was a single mom and did not have a lot of money, so we would road trip to places. And we had a lot of times road trip down to Tennessee, and I think I can't remember if this was our Dollywood trip or not. But I want to say Amanda was about a year, maybe? Somewhere around there. And we were leaving our home and driving downstate. And yeah, she had to have been under a year. Just about talking age when we were starting. And so we passed this town, and I was the navigator.
Oh.
I was definitely the navigator, and this was before GPS and cell phones and all that, folks. So I would, have the map out and make sure we were taking the right highways. And we passed Champaign, which is actually where we live kind of close to now. But back then this was a good 2.5, 3 hours from where we grew up. And so Mandy was in the back seat in her car seat. And I'd said something, and I was like, you need to, make sure you take the one that says Champaign. And,
Chills.
and this comes from the back seat. Champagne. And I said, what my mom goes, what did you say? She goes, Champagne. And my mom and I just broke out laughing, right? Because she's not really talking. She's still learning those words. And so Amanda gets that little baby giggle going on, like just could not stop laughing. And so we're like, oh, it's so funny. And then all of a sudden she'd just randomly go, Champagne, like for the rest of the road trip, to the point that, and then she'd giggle, laugh. I mean, and we were just rolling lap. It was one of the best, road trip memories. But I will say, towards the end, like, she would randomly keep doing it, and we're like, okay, we got it. But I would occasionally, like, she'd forget, and I'd be like, are we gonna go to Champagne? Like, I'd try to instigate her again, and Champagne. It's funny.
I should have said how you tried to teach me to say bro.
Yeah, I had a nickname growing up because when she was born, I was 10, and it was in the mid-90s, and bro was a thing. You all understand. Okay, bro was big in the 90s. So it's like, you can call me bro. Well, she couldn't say bro. She said
Bobo.
So that was my nickname, was Bobo for her, and then
Mom
literally
still calls you Bobo.
Bo. Bo was my nickname growing up amongst my family and whatnot. So she still calls me. My mom still calls me Bo once in a while. So
You can call him Bobo. He hates it.
I don't mind Bo. Bobo
I know that's why
makes
I
me
say
sound
Bobo.
like Bozo. It's just like people, they're like, oh, do you prefer Steve or Steven? I'm like, I don't care, it's one letter, but don't call me Stevie, because I will not answer to it. All right, so moving on. Last episode, we were giving away a copy of Home, put out by Quince & Company, put together by Pam Allen. And the prompt last episode was, what do you miss most about being a kid? Speaking of ours, both kids' stories. And we randomly drew for a winner, and the winner was number 35, who is Panoshka, who is Anna from Hungary. And Anna said she misses running barefoot in the garden. And I was having a discussion with somebody, a customer this weekend, and she was saying how she hates shoes. She was young, maybe your age or so. And she was like, I just prefer nothing on my feet. Because both mom and daughter, it was her and her mom, they both did not like knitted socks. And I said, I could never go outside without shoes on. Like, even when my mom would be like, just go get the mail. Just go run out there and get the mail. I'm on the driveway going, and we didn't have, I have a gravel driveway now. That's understandable. But no, we had a concrete driveway that was sealed every other year. The black top driveways. No, I'm not going to have, But running barefoot through the garden, Anna, that is a good memory for you, I'm sure. Not for me. I would be like, ooh, ah. But if you would, please get in contact with me, Dramatic Knits on Ravelry, with your first and last name, mailing address, including all postal codes, country, everything, and an email address so I can send you tracking. And we'll get this out to you as soon as we can. Did you know it's April? Fools! So that means March is over. So we are going to pull for some winners from our March 2019 Race to the Finished Object Contest. And the first prize is an Angora mitt kit. So it comes with a design from Church Mouse Yarns and Tea for these really cute fingerless mitts. And there is enough yarn in here, gray Angora yarn, that I'm not going to pull out because I don't want to have it go as Angora does. But this is 100% French Angora rabbit hair. Each ball is approximately 10 grams and 33 yards, so there's enough. It's in the dark gray colorway. There's enough to make both mitts. So this will be coming to you if you are the winner. And the winner is number 162, who is Hikes and Bikes, and that's Nikki from Oregon. So congratulations, Nikki. She posted some handspun she finished in the month of March. So congratulations on a finished skein of handspun. If you would, please direct message me, Dramatic Knits, again with your first and last name, mailing address, and email so I can send you tracking, and we'll get that out to you as soon as possible. Our second winner is winning a pattern from our featured designer, who is Susie White, also known as Prairie Girl Designs. And the winner of that was number 15, who is Frosty62, and that is Denise from Illinois. So congratulations, Denise. She did a pair of string mandala socks, which are a colorwork legged sock. by Amy Loberg, and they were absolutely beautiful. So congratulations to Denise. If you would, please take a look at Susie's patterns. They are linked in our show notes at dramaticknits.com, and let us know which one of Susie's giftable patterns you would like. Email me, Dramatic Knits, and I will let Susie know and she'll gift you a copy of the pattern. So that being said, our April 2019 Race to the Finished Object contest thread is now open. I opened that this morning, and we'll have 2 wonderful prizes, another prize pulled from our prize pool, as well as another pattern from Susie White. That being said, April is Susie's final month being our featured designer, and we are looking for a new featured designer. So if you are a designer of any kind, no matter how many patterns you have out, and if you'd like to be featured on the Dramatic Knits podcast, we give you a shout out on every episode, and all that it requires of you is to donate 1 pattern per month. You can agree to be featured as little as 1 month and as long as 6 months, anywhere in between as well. So if you would, please contact me, Dramatic Knits, or you can contact Amanda as well, Dramatic Mandy, and let her know, let either one of us know that you are interested, and we will get you signed up. So, all right, let's move into center stage, all things Leading Men Fiber Arts. Really quickly, the LMFA Knitting at the Estate retreat is still having things happen. We have our Ravelry group, Knitting at the Estate, and you can go over there and keep up to date with things, even if you're not attending, but you kind of want to know what the lay of the land is, and if you're considering coming in 2020. We do have a hat drive going on, which is being hosted by, I believe it's Denise. Sorry if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's Denise. And she's doing amazing monthly contests over there. People are banging out the hats, and she is donating her own wonderful prizes, which is just amazing. And I cannot thank her enough. And she said she's kind of doing it in a way to get to know participants before she comes to the retreat. So she took it on by herself to kind of organize this. She asked if she could do it. I said absolutely, as long as I don't add another thing to my plate. And she is just knocking it out of the park. So go on over there and check out the hat drive threads. Movement is happening off of the wait list. So just, if you're on the waiting list, keep your ears perked, check your spam folders. And there are still off-site spots available on the Leading Men Fiber Arts website. So if you go to leadingmenfiberarts.com, the first listing is for off-site spots. That price is now $400, and that includes your deposit plus your first payment. That would only leave you with one other payment of $100 for off-site. That comes with everything included in the retreat, other than your physical lodging. You would need to book your own hotel room and pay for that. That is not included in your fees for the retreat. If you are coming to the retreat, keep your ear and eyes out. All invoices for payment number 2 went out yesterday, and those payments are due by April 15th. If you do not get your payment in by April 15th, unfortunately, you will be forfeiting your spot, and your deposit will be refunded to you, and we will have movement on the wait list. We are in the process of prepping emails and things for door prizes and goodie bag donations for the retreat. So if you are interested, if you are a maker of any kind, and you would like to donate door prizes or include business cards or little goodies in our goodie bag, you can get in contact with us by emailing knittingattheestate@gmail.com. So again, please, anything retreat related, please email us at knittingattheestate@gmail.com. And I swear that Angora was not even out the bag, and it is up my nose. My nose is doing nothing but itching. All right, we do have pre-orders up and available for our brand new colorway of the month called
Stay Out of the Forest.
And I'm going to insert some pictures here. So, isn't that beautiful? So we were experimenting with some different dyes and a new dye technique, actually. Andy came up with this, but Amanda had the naming suggestion that we went with. And where is that from?
My Favorite Murder, aka My Life.
So, while My Favorite Murder is a really, really popular podcast, Andy and I gave it one shot. We have not tried again. Andy's not going to do it. I don't know if I will, to be honest with you, but
That's okay.
it's not everybody's cup of tea. I get it, but it is very popular. And so that name is in reference to that. So you saw an inspiration photo as well as the yarn. We have pre-orders up for every yarn base as well as classic and shorty sock sets available on the website right now through April 8th. And all orders will go out by April 15th. All right, upcoming shows. So this weekend, we are headed up to one of our, if not the favorite show we vend at. We look forward to it every year, and that is YarnCon. YarnCon is here, and it is in Chicago, downtown Chicago, at the Plumbers Union Hall. It is a free event to get into, I believe. And yeah, free parking, free everything to get in. And the first 50 people each day to walk through the door get a free goodie bag, which includes coupons, I think a skein of yarn, a bag, like some amazing swag. So people line up. I'm no joke, people. It's usually decently cold, especially in the morning. And we'll roll in. If the market opens at 10, we roll in at like 9, 8 even, and there are people camped out in chairs waiting to get in. So some people get there 2 to 3 hours early for these bags. It's a little crazy, but we are so excited. We are in our same location that we've been in the past 3 years. 2 years. No, 3 years. This is year 6 for us. This is crazy. So we're in our same location, right in the corner. When you walk through the doors, turn to your left and go to the first aisle. We're right up front. So,
it's like last year, YarnCon, when I went, that's how I started in this whole...
Yep, that's where she saw the pattern of the Lamina wrap.
Yeah, I fell in love.
At the Black Cat Fibers booth, and then we paired her up with some yarn.
Yeah.
I'm trying to convince her to come up and put the dogs with Grandma, but...
No, because I have a dinner date with Miranda's parents. I love her parents.
So that is this weekend, April 6th and 7th in Chicago, Illinois. And then the following weekend, we will be doing a trunk show at Michigan Fiber Studio up in Grand Rapids, Michigan. That is Saturday, April 13th. So come on, stop on down. Stop on down. Come on by if you are in the Grand Rapids area or within a drivable distance. This is, I believe, our 3rd time there, and we always enjoy being up there. This is also part of the, is it Western Michigan Yarn Crawl? There's like 15 or 17 shops. I can't remember. There's a lot of shops part of this yarn crawl. So I believe we are the final day for it, maybe, or that was last year, maybe. I don't know. We're part of the yarn crawl, so stop on by. I think there'll be prizes and stuff that they'll be drawing for as well. So that is, again, April 13th, and whatever their normal business hours are. I didn't write it down. But yeah, then we'll be back that Sunday, April 14th, to record another episode for you. So we thoroughly hope that you enjoyed this episode 328. And yeah, we will check back with you. If you have not already joined the Ravelry group, go on and join Dramatic Knits Video Podcast group. You can find everything related to the shop on Instagram, Ravelry, and Facebook, as well as leadingmenfiberarts.com. And you are, again, Dramatic Mandy on Ravelry.
Yep.
And do you want to give out your Instagram?
Oh, sure. I don't know what it is.
Amanda
is it underscore?
_ Christine with a Y.
KRYSTINE.
So you can check her out. I try to tag her a lot on Instagram as well. But yeah. So until we see you on April 14th, we hope you
Knit something
dramatic.